Welcome to the NYSC Big Startup, a show about unlocking potential brought to you by NYSE and hosted by me, Guy Kawasaki.
The company I was at previously was integrated with YouTube when YouTube launched, and I just became absolutely convinced that there was this change in consumer behavior around consuming video online. But it was really interesting. At the time, nobody else wanted to push video because it was so expensive. It was expensive to serve it, expensive to host it, and it just became clear that there was going to be this really big gap between the change in consumer behavior but the lacking monetization for content producers. So that was really the kernel that really launched me into starting the company.
Okay, and let's talk about how you raised the money for BrightRoll. So what was the sequence of events here?
Sure. So we started with an angel round, which was $1 million from about 10 investors. Mm-hmm. Most of the investors were people that were people who did angel investing, and I would say I had met, but I didn't necessarily know. That was like the primary case, and I probably had to pitch about 3 times as many people as I ended up raising money from. So I feel like the hit rate was relatively successful, but we did have a huge advantage. We had worked for 6 months before we even left our jobs, and we worked for another 3 months before we raised money. So at the time we had almost a year worth of data. We had some revenue. We had some traction in the market. So it was a little less of purely an idea. There was some actual traction there. And I really leaned on a few trusted advisors and friends to kind of help me through that process that had been through the process themselves. And that really made a big difference at that time. Okay.
You're familiar with the NYSC Big Startup. So how can the NYSC Big Startup help an entrepreneur like you?
Sure. Well, I would say, first of all, that job growth is created by entrepreneurs and small companies. Yep. Full stop. We all know that. So, anything that can be done to help small businesses succeed, I think, is good for job growth and is good for those companies. And the large cap public companies, they have what startups don't have, right? They have distribution, they have brands, they have resources, they have capital. And so, from my perspective, just bringing those two things together, the people with the ideas, the entrepreneurs, the small businesses that are running hard, coupled with all the advantages of large cap companies can really provide advantages, particularly to the small businesses. But that's what this country, and I think that's what all of us want to happen. So we'd love to benefit from it as well. We're still a small company ourselves.
All right. So Todd, you've raised $36 million, got this critical mass here. What are your lessons looking back?
Your greatest advantage is speed, and action gets you to start, leveraging that benefit. So I think my number one advice to folks is just, start moving. The second is something that we've, I think, greatly benefited from in our history, and some amount of it is luck, but is really stay focused. And I think just being laser focused on where we thought was the most value and saying no to many, many other things during that process has really helped us in our history.
Okay. We want one last gem, one more gem of wisdom for entrepreneurs.
Sure. I would say there are 99,000 reasons to not start a company, but I think the real important thing is the number one reason to start is that you want to do it. And so don't let the naysayers get in your way and just go.
All right. Very good. Thank you very much. Enjoyed this. Lots of wisdom for entrepreneurs.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching the NYSC Big Startup.